The signal in the dark. The silence of space was broken by a whisper, deep in the heart of the Galactic communications hub, nestled between the twin suns of the Arcturus system. A single light blinked red on Dr. Vorth's monitoring station. The insectoid scientist's compound eyes focused on the display, his mandibles clicking in confusion. "Impossible," he muttered, his voice carrying the distinctive harmonic buzz of his species. The signal was weak, barely registering above background radiation. But it was there. More importantly, it was structured, organized, intelligent. Dr. Vorth's 6 arms moved across the control panel with practiced efficiency, isolating the signal and running it through the universal translation matrix. What he found made his exoskeleton shiver with disbelief. The linguistic patterns were unmistakable, even after 3 centuries of silence. Human. The discovery sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council within hours. In the great crystalline chambers of New Babylon, representatives from 47 different species gathered in emergency session. The air crackled with tension as translators worked overtime, converting the rapid-fire discussions into comprehensible formats for each delegation. Admiral Krickstall, his reptilian features sharp and angular, slammed his scaled fist against the speaker's podium. "This is ridiculous," he hissed, his forked tongue tasting the air. "Humans have been extinct for 300 years. Everyone knows this. Their homeworld burned in the Great Collapse. Their colonies fell to civil war and plague. This is either a hoax or some kind of elaborate trap." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Velnari delegation, their blue-skinned forms radiating calm authority, nodded sagely. The crystalline helix beings hummed in harmonic agreement, their bodies refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns. But in the back of the chamber, a lone figure stood, Captain Zora Chen, her human features distinctive among the alien faces, felt her heart racing. She was one of perhaps a dozen individuals in the galaxy who still carried pure human genetic markers, descendants of refugees who had fled the dying Earth centuries ago. Most galactic citizens believed she and her kind were museum pieces, living relics of a failed species. "Request permission to speak," Zora said, her voice cutting through the debate. The chamber fell silent. Humans rarely spoke in the council, understanding their place as historical curiosities rather than active participants. Commander Helix, the crystalline being who led the council, resonated with a tone that translated as mild interest. "The human representative is recognized." Zara stepped forward, feeling the weight of dozens of alien gazes upon her. "With respect, Admiral Krickstall, you speak of humans as if we're truly gone. But I'm standing here. My people may be few, but we remember things. We remember the last days of Earth, the scattered colonies, the survivors who disappeared into the dark. What if some of them found a way to endure?" The reptilian admiral's eyes narrowed. "Even if that were true, what would you have us do? Send a fleet chasing ghosts based on a radio signal that could be anything?" "Send me," Zara said simply. "One ship, one person. If it's nothing, you've lost a single scout vessel. If it's something..." She paused, feeling the weight of possibility. "If it's something, then maybe the galaxy is about to learn that humans aren't as extinct as everyone believes." The debate that followed stretched for hours. Species representatives argued about resources, risks, and the wisdom of chasing ancient phantoms. But in the end, curiosity won. Dr. Vorth had isolated the signal source, a research station in orbit around Kepler 442 bits, a world so remote that most star charts didn't even mark it. 3 days later, Zora's ship, the Wanderer, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. It was a small vessel, barely large enough for one person, and equipped with basic sensors and communication arrays. As she approached the signal source, Zara felt a mixture of hope and dread building in her chest. Kepler 442 bits hung in space like a blue-green jewel, its surface covered in vast oceans and scattered continents. But it wasn't the planet that made Zora's breath catch in her throat. It was the structure in orbit above it. The research station was massive, easily 5 kilometers from end to end. Its hull gleamed with an alloy Zora didn't recognize, and energy signatures danced across its surface like living light. This wasn't some abandoned relic or hidden outpost. This was advanced technology, generations beyond anything the galaxy currently possessed. Wanderer to unknown station. Zara transmitted, her voice steady despite her racing heart. This is Captain Zara Chen responding to your distress signal. Please respond. Silence stretched for long minutes. Then, impossibly, a voice answered. Human. Male. Warm with recognition and something that might have been relief. Captain Chen, we've been waiting for you. The docking bay that opened in the station's hull was clearly designed for her ship. As Zara guided the Wanderer into the structure, she noticed details that made her scientific mind reel. The artificial gravity was perfect, not the slightly off-kilter sensation most alien stations produced. The atmosphere readings showed a perfect match for human physiology. Even the lighting spectrum was calibrated for human eyes. The man waiting for her in the docking bay was tall, middle-aged, with graying hair and kind eyes. He wore a simple jumpsuit that looked both practical and somehow elegant. When he smiled, Zara felt a shock of recognition that went deeper than sight. Dr. Marcus Webb, he said, extending his hand. Welcome to Haven Station. I was your great-grandmother's colleague on the Terra Nova project. Zara stared at him, her mind struggling to process the impossibility. That was 300 years ago. Time moves differently when you're patient, Dr. Webb replied. Come, there's much to show you, and I'm afraid we don't have as much time as I'd like. As they walked through the station's corridors, Zara's amazement grew with each step. The technology around her was seamlessly integrated, almost organic in its design. Walls seemed to pulse gently with their own light. The air itself felt alive, charged with possibilities she couldn't name. How many? She asked finally. How many of us are there? Dr. Webb's smile was sad and proud at the same time. More than the galaxy believes, fewer than we'd hoped. When Earth fell, some of us saw what was coming. We prepared, we scattered, we survived. They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing star charts, population figures, technological schematics. Zara felt her knees weaken as the scope of it all hit her. 47 hidden colonies, Dr. Webb continued, each one carefully concealed, each one growing stronger. We've been watching the galaxy, learning, adapting, preparing. Preparing for what? Dr. Webb's expression darkened. The same thing that destroyed Earth is still out there, Captain. It's been sleeping, waiting, growing. The galaxy's major powers know it's coming, though they don't like to admit it. The decay, some call it. The silence. Others have different names. Zara had heard whispers of it in council sessions, hushed conversations about dark matter anomalies and systems that simply stopped transmitting. Entire civilizations that went quiet without explanation. The other species, she said slowly. They know about this. They know something is wrong. They don't know how wrong. And they certainly don't know what it will take to stop it. Dr. Webb activated another display, showing energy patterns that hurt to look at directly. This is why we sent the signal, Captain. Not as a cry for help, but as a warning. The time for hiding is over. As if summoned by his words, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Dr. Webb's expression shifted to grim determination as he activated his communication device. All stations, this is Webb. Begin Phase 1. The awakening protocol is now active. Across the galaxy, in hidden installations and secret colonies, the message was received. Humanity was about to reveal itself to a universe that had counted them among the dead. And with that revelation would come a reckoning that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Zara looked out through the station's massive viewport at the stars beyond, knowing that everything was about to change. The distress signal had been answered, but the real message was just beginning to be sent. In the depths of space, Ancient sensors detected the energy signature of Haven Station coming online. Something vast and hungry turned its attention toward the Kepler system and began to move. The awakening storm. The transformation began within minutes of Dr. Webb's announcement. Throughout the station, walls that had appeared solid became transparent, revealing massive chambers filled with technology that defied conventional understanding. Zara watched in stunned silence as the research station revealed its true nature. "My God," she whispered, pressing her face against the observation deck's reinforced window. "It's not just a station. It's a ship." "One of 47, Dr. Webb confirmed, his fingers dancing across control surfaces that materialized from seemingly empty air. Each colony built around a core vessel, each one capable of independent operation. "We've had 3 centuries to perfect the design." The implications hit Zora like a physical blow. "The Galactic Council thinks there are maybe a dozen humans left in the entire galaxy." "The Galactic Council has been useful," Dr. Webb said diplomatically. "Your reports, your observations, your access to their databases. We've learned much about our neighbors while they believed us extinct." Before Zara could respond, a new voice filled the chamber. It was artificial, but warmly so, with harmonics that seemed to resonate in her bones. "Dr. Webb, Captain Chen, we have a situation developing." "Report, ARIA," Dr. Webb said calmly. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive gravitational distortions in sectors 7 through 12. The pattern matches theoretical models for decay manifestation. Estimated time to full emergence, 72 hours. Zara felt her blood turn to ice. The decay wasn't just a theoretical threat anymore. It was here, now, and coming fast. "ARIA, initiate full network awakening," Dr. Webb commanded. "All colonies, all vessels, all personnel. Begin Phase 2 implementation." "Acknowledged." Transmitting wake-up calls now. Across the galaxy, something unprecedented began to happen. On worlds that galactic surveys had marked as uninhabited, massive structures began emerging from underground installations. In asteroid fields that had seemed empty, hidden shipyards came online. Space itself seemed to shimmer as cloaking fields deactivated and revealed fleets that had been waiting in the dark for centuries. On the Galactic Communications Hub, Dr. Vorth's equipment went haywire as his sensors detected impossible readings. Energy signatures appeared on his displays that were off the scale, coming from coordinates that supposedly held nothing but empty space. "Admiral," he chittered into his communicator, "you need to see this. The human signal, it's not alone anymore. There are hundreds of them, thousands. They're everywhere." Admiral Krickstall arrived at the communications center within minutes, his reptilian features twisted with disbelief as he stared at the displays. Red dots filled the star charts, each one representing a massive energy signature that hadn't been there hours before. "Impossible," he hissed. "Sensor malfunction. It has to be." "Sir," Dr. Vorth's voice was barely a whisper, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's coming from all of them simultaneously, every single contact." The Admiral's scaled hand hesitated over the activation switch. When he finally pressed it, a human voice filled the chamber. Not Zora's voice, but older, carrying the weight of centuries and the calm certainty of absolute conviction. "This is Dr. Marcus Webb of the Human Preservation Fleet. We are transmitting to all galactic powers on all frequencies. For 300 years, you have believed humanity extinct. You were wrong. We have been here, watching, learning, preparing. The threat that destroyed Earth is returning. The decay has awakened, and it comes for all organic life." The transmission continued, displaying impossible images. Fleets of ships unlike anything in current galactic technology. Worlds that shouldn't exist, teeming with human life. Energy weapons that could crack moons. Defensive systems that warped space itself. "We do not ask for your leadership," Dr. Webb's voice continued. "We do not seek to conquer or control, but we will not stand by and watch the galaxy die as Earth died. You have 71 hours before the decay manifests fully. You can spend that time debating our existence, or you can spend it preparing to fight for your survival. Choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving the communications center in stunned silence. Then, chaos erupted. Emergency protocols activated across 47 worlds as the reality of the situation hit home. Humanity wasn't extinct. They were organized, technologically advanced, and they were claiming an ancient enemy was about to destroy everything. In the council chambers, panic reigned. Species representatives shouted accusations and demands in a dozen different languages. Some claimed it was an elaborate hoax. Others worried it was a human invasion disguised as a rescue. A few, the older civilizations who remembered the first signs of the decay, began to understand the true scope of the threat. Commander Helix's crystalline form resonated with frequencies that cut through the chaos. Silence, the being commanded, and the chamber gradually quieted. We have confirmation from our deepest space sensors. Something is indeed moving in the void beyond the galactic rim. Something vast. On Haven Station, Zara stood beside Dr. Webb as they watched the galaxy's response unfold. Communication channels buzzed with panic, anger, and slowly growing acceptance. The secret was out, and there was no going back. They're terrified, Zara observed, watching the flood of incoming transmissions. They should be, Dr. Webb replied grimly. Araya. Show Captain Chen the Kepler system's outer perimeter. The holographic display shifted, showing the space beyond Kepler 442 bits. What Zara saw made her stomach clench with fear. The stars were going out, not destroyed, but consumed, their light being absorbed by something that hurt to look at directly. The decay doesn't just kill, Dr. Webb explained. It consumes. Energy, matter, even information itself. It's not alive in any sense we understand, but it grows, learns, adapts. It consumed Earth not because it hated us, but because we were there. How do we fight something like that? Together, Dr. Webb said simply. Every species, every world, every ship. The decay can consume individual civilizations, even whole sectors, but a unified galaxy, fighting as one. He smiled grimly. That's something it's never faced before. The first response came from an unexpected source. The Velnari Empire, known for their caution and diplomacy, transmitted a simple message. We remember the stories our ancestors told of the last decay incursion. We will stand with humanity. Others followed. The crystalline helix beings offered their quantum computational networks. The insectoid Vorth colonies provided their sensor webs. Even Admiral Krixtal's reptilian fleet, after heated debate, agreed to coordinate with the human forces. But it was the arrival of the ethereal collective that truly changed everything. The oldest known species in the galaxy, beings of pure energy who rarely interacted with organic life, materialized in the council chambers for the first time in millennia. Ambassador Thys, speaking through harmonics that bypassed language entirely, delivered a message that chilled every being present. The decay comes, as it came before, as it will come again. But never before has the galaxy been so prepared. The humans have given us what we never had before: time, unity, and hope. The final 24 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Human fleets emerged from hiding, their ships linking with alien vessels in formations that had never been attempted. Technologies were shared, strategies coordinated, fears set aside in the face of absolute necessity. Zara found herself aboard the flagship of the combined fleet, a massive human vessel called the Phoenix. Dr. Webb stood beside her on the bridge as the decay finally manifested in local space. It was beautiful and terrible beyond description. A wave of absolute darkness that consumed everything in its path, leaving not even empty space behind. Stars, planets, entire systems simply ceased to exist as it passed. All ships, Dr. Webb's voice carried across every communication channel in the fleet. This is for every world that ever looked up at the stars and dreamed of tomorrow. This is for every species that chose hope over fear. This is for the future. The battle that followed would be remembered in the histories of every surviving civilization. Energy weapons that could shatter planets fired in perfect coordination. Defensive shields powered by the combined output of entire star systems held back the consuming darkness. And in the center of it all, humanity's true gift revealed itself, not their technology, not their weapons, but their absolute refusal to surrender. The decay had consumed countless civilizations across the eons, each one fighting alone and falling in isolation. But it had never faced a galaxy that stood as one, guided by a species that had learned from extinction and emerged stronger. When the darkness finally retreated, leaving behind wounded but victorious fleets, the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity was no longer the extinct curiosity it had pretended to be. It had become the guardian it had always been destined to be. Dr. Webb stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, looking out at the stars that still shone because of what they had accomplished together. Beside him, Zara felt the weight of a new responsibility settling on her shoulders. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we rebuild," Dr. Webb said simply. "We prepare for the next time. And we make sure that no world ever stands alone again." The distress signal that had started it all had been answered, but it had done more than summon help. It had awakened something in the galaxy that had been sleeping for too long. The understanding that survival meant unity, and that hope was the strongest force in the universe. In the depths of space, automated beacons began transmitting a new message across all frequencies. Not a cry for help, but a promise. This is humanity. We are here. We are watching. And we will never let the darkness win. The galaxy had learned to fear the right thing at last. Not the return of humanity, but the possibility of ever being without them again.